Bum 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 bum
Whoop.
bum 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 bum.
Wow.
Freedom podcast time. It's
It's
time.
crazy that you made AI songs for like games that are not even announced yet, but like a theme song. We're still
Yeah, we're exploring. We're
yeah, still
melodically
exploring
exploring.
after
Yeah.
more than a year.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's also,
Uh,
I mean, I just think this podcast has so much soul. And so doing an AI song for it feels weird.
wow.
I have made a
That's right.
number of songs, AI songs. One I did write. I made for you actually, and it's just
No,
Jor and
wow.
his Horizon. And it's just about how much you love Horizon. Didn't really
Mm.
click, didn't work so
Oh
well,
yeah.
so we're gonna revisit it. Um
Can't wait for version 2.
yeah,
Exciting times. Exciting times.
can't wait. How have you been though? It's been a week and a half, 2 weeks.
Yeah. Obviously, I've been busy with the Shadows content, but it's been dying down a bit, so I can finally catch a breath. I've been going outside. It's finally
Touching
sunny
grass.
here in yeah, finally sunny here in Amsterdam. So been having a good time. I just came out of the bathtub. My hair is still a bit wet, as you can see.
Mm,
So I watched the final episode of The White Lotus, but I'm halfway through because, of course, drop everything for the show. So
naturally.
yeah, now we're here and we have some fun stuff to go over. And yeah, already quite some summer plans. So I'm excited for that. And what about you?
Yeah, so the reason, just for everybody listening, the reason we missed last week was because right as I wasn't allowed to say I was going to Seattle for the marathon event.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I had to just be like, I have an appointment. But literally right as I ended the stream at like whatever it was, 12, I went upstairs, put my bags in the car, and then I hopped in the car, drove to the airport, and left. So when we would normally be doing the podcast, like I was on a plane. But soon-ish, I'll be able to talk about the marathon stuff. They have a gameplay reveal they've announced for the 12th, which is Saturday. And so we'll talk about all that, in due course. But it's been good. More than anything, in the last like 48 hours, I've just been eating up all of the drama that's been coming out with the Switch 2 stuff.
Ooh.
Their attempts to manage that crisis has been hilarious, making the exact same mistakes as Xbox back in 2013, saying almost the exact same things. It really is remarkable to watch. And I've never seen a console go from like, well, even like game showcases too, go from watching the showcase being like, okay, this is kind of cool, I'm about it, and then they reveal the price of the console and you're like, well, like, it's still probably worth it. And then the game pricing reveal, and then everything's online requirements, and then the C button on the controller requires a subscription to use. Like, and if you don't, you press the button, it pulls up a page asking you to join the online subscription. And like, I've never seen just a steady screw up for such a sustained period since probably the Xbox One reveal.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's been
But
thoroughly entertaining.
yeah, no, it's been interesting for a company like Nintendo, who, yeah, at first was like, I mean, they can of course do things wrong. Look at the Wii U, and it's kind of like interesting. They always have a successful console, and then they kind of stumble with Wii U, Switch super successful, and now Switch 2 stumble. I do think it will be different though. I do think that when the pre-orders eventually open up in the US and Canada, because those have been delayed, of course, that people will still buy it day one.
Yeah.
So I I am kind of like, it feels, and yeah, it's kind of like it's always coming off a successful console launch, or like a console generation. We saw it with Sony as well, from the PS2 to the PS3. They made the same mistake, 360 to Xbox One. Microsoft made that mistake. Seems like Nintendo is kind of riding high as well, but I really don't think they're even managing the crisis, because I think in their eyes there is no crisis.
I mean,
right now.
I've gone back and forth with it. There was a former member of the PR team at Nintendo of America who did an interview with, it might have been gamesindustry.biz or somebody like that. But they were talking about how, based on their understanding of the company and company culture, they're probably freaking out right now.
Mm.
But whether they act on it is a totally separate question. Because I kind of agree that I think the most likely outcome of this is that when pre-orders open up, they just announced that they're suspending tariffs, for example, in the U.S. for everybody except China. So those like Cambodian and the Vietnam assembled Switches can now be imported, and it's fine. So all of that works. And I think they'll open up pre-orders maybe in a couple days for the US, maybe tomorrow. We never know. But I think it sells out quick in the first 6 months. You know, it probably does pretty well there. But I've been insistent that I think the effect of all of this is going to be for the late comers. It's going to be for the dad who's shopping for his kids for a Christmas present, and he goes to the physical brick and mortar store, and he looks on the shelf and he sees the Switch 2 is $450, $500 to get it with Mario Kart. He's already like sweating. And then he looks over and he sees all the other big major releases, because Smash is going to launch, you know, probably an updated version eventually. That's going to be $80. The physical version will be $90. So he's in the store. He's going to be looking at all these big games that are priced at $90. And I think that gets the more casual buyer to scoff and maybe walk away and not buy it, especially when he turns around and sees the Xbox there with Game Pass included. And so long as Xbox can communicate that value to a more casual user, I think that sees the market shift there. And it's also paired with some of the language. Nintendo has been saying that they expect it to perform similarly to the Switch. And I don't know in what world the Switch 2 does anywhere near as well as the Switch in the modern marketplace, because we have other handhelds now and it's just not what it was. And they basically have one or two big games with like Donkey Kong and Mario Kart. And like, that's kind of it. And I'm just not convinced that a new Mario Kart is Breath of the Wild. You know, I just don't think it's on the same level. So we'll keep an eye on it. We'll see.
We should not underestimate Mario Kart though. Like, I think it sold 80 million, 50 million. I think Mario Kart 8 Deluxe.
I think it's more than
like
that. If you count the Wii U version, it's like 76 million or something. It's ridiculous.
And it looks insane. It looks really, really good. It looks like a kind of modern version, way more focused on free roaming with your friends. But I do think it's interesting, and it will be we will not be able to tell the success of the Switch in the first weeks. It will be the holiday season, I think, this year, especially if GTA drops, because then a person you described might go into the store and be like, yeah, but daddy wants GTA, so he wants to go for the PS5, and then my kid go play Astrobot Lego Horizon.
Yeah, no, I think
I had to say it.
Yeah, you got the Horizon thing in there.
We got the drop already.
We were joking before we started streaming that I was like, I'm gonna find a way to bring up Horizon multiplayer. We'll find a way to get there. I don't know how, but we'll bring it up. I do think the holiday season is going to be really, really telling. I totally agree there. It's one of those things where whenever there's a new piece of gaming hardware coming out from one of the big guys, it's probably going to do pretty well at the outset. Like, it just is. That's how these things go. There's a lot of people who want the newest gadget and will buy it just to have the newest gadget. The question is how it does long term, how it performs with the more casual user base. Because those, like the casual user, the casual gamer, that is the vast, vast, vast majority of people that are actually buying these things. And so it's going to be interesting to see there. I also agree, Lost and Still Lost, funny name, also brings up that the performance of Duskblood will also be really telling. And I agree, because I think that Duskblood, which of course is slated for next year, there's a reason they finished the show on that. That was their big like finisher. Yeah, the guys that made Elden Ring, we got them, and they're making a game just for us. I do think there's a lot of money riding on that. And I honestly, maybe this is a hot take, I think that probably significantly underperforms, because I just think, for one, like, it would be one thing if it were Elden Ring 2 exclusive to the Switch 2. That would be one thing. Even then, like, a lot of the players who played the original Elden Ring, who are like FromSoft fans, they're playing on PlayStation, Xbox, or PC. They're not playing on like the Switch, you know? They're only just now bringing Elden Ring to the Switch. So you're not just selling a $70 or potentially $80 game. You're selling a $450 console. You're selling an additional maybe pair of Joy-Cons, the online membership that'll be required to play it at all. You're talking about like a $550 to $600 investment to play that one game, which is probably the only game that those FromSoft fans would be interested in. Maybe they buy Elden Ring again to play on the go. But I think if people are looking at that, they start to pause and go, I could do that, or I could get like a Steam Deck and play everything else. Like, I just don't think it performs as well as they're probably expecting it to.
Yeah, I think so too. Also for two reasons. One is that the novelty of a From Software game has kind of worn off. First, it was like really an event, but now we get Elden Ring Night Rain next month. It's kind of wild actually to think. I always forget about that. That is still coming next month. But obviously, a lot of people are looking forward to it, and the test they did was, I think, for the people. Yeah, I think it did convince quite some people, and for other people, it was like, yeah, this is exactly what I wanted and what I don't want from them. And yeah, it seems like Duskblood is kind of experimental like that as well. If it was really a spiritual success or single-player only Bloodborne game, I think that would have changed the conversation a lot. Because then I do think, oh, Miyazaki is making a new single. I do think that would have been, like, I cannot miss this. I have to get this. But now it really felt like Nintendo was so desperate to get them on board that they were like, yeah, we have this idea laying around. Can we make that for you guys? Sure, let's do it. So I think that will hurt it too. And I mean, having that online only game on a Switch, I remember playing, I was like, whoa, I can play. Okay, this sounds maybe really stupid, but I liked Paladins. You know Paladins?
I had to Google it last time you brought it up. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So I like that. I played that on Switch. I was like, whoa, I can play that on the go. It's pretty huge. This was before the Steam Deck and all that sort of stuff. But I could never find the game. Like, I don't think a live service audience is on the Switch. So I really think that it's gonna be a hard sell. On the other hand, they are trying it with the big guns. Like, they want to make that work. I do think the focus of the Discord integration and way more social features with the Switch 2 is really smart, because what they saw during the pandemic was that a lot of people were playing Animal Crossing like they were showing in that commercial, but there was not really there was not really a foundation for that on the Switch 1. So I do think that that's a great get for them to focus on that. And Mario Kart having multiple ways to play that with friends is gonna be very, very cool. But
I think it's interesting because I do think also the performance of Night Rain will inform a lot of the discourse around the Duskbloods. Because say Night Rain comes out and it's just kind of like, some people love it, a lot of people are like totally uninterested. I think that changes where people start for Duskbloods. Because if people, like you said, if it was a single player Bloodborne successor exclusive to Switch 2, people start up here and then they get like a little more unenthused when it's revealed, oh, it's exclusive, oh, it's 80, whatever. Maybe it's even cheaper, who knows? But, you know, they're starting up here, though. That's a much easier sell if you're starting up there. But I feel like being a live service 8-player PvPvE game, I think people, like, the core FromSoft fans are starting down here. And then you also have, like, Nintendo doesn't have a huge live service portfolio right now. I don't know how many Splatoon players will be interested in this. Maybe a ton, maybe not many. But I think that they're starting way lower. I also want to bring up, I see some people mentioning in chat, Mario Kart being huge. Nobody's denying Mario Kart is huge. What I was bringing up, and I should have been more precise with this, is as a console seller, I'm not sure how much Mario Kart does. Yes, it sold 76.4, something like that, million copies over its lifetime on Wii U and Switch. But I think Mario Kart, there was an analyst I saw describing it in an article, I think on Seeking Alpha. And the analyst was saying Mario Kart is what's considered like an attached product, or it has like a really high attachment rate. So when you buy a Switch, you're buying Mario Kart. Everybody who has a Switch has Mario Kart. They have Smash. It's one of those games you get if you're getting the console. The question is if you're getting the console. Breath of the Wild, a lot of people were buying that specifically to play Breath of the Wild because it was described as a masterpiece, amazing reviews. It was another Zelda game. I mean, of course, people were going to buy it. That was a big console seller. People were buying it for that game. Whereas a lot of people seemingly buy Mario Kart because they bought the console. Like the console is a given at that point, and they attach it onto it. So whether, it's putting the cart before the horse, I think at times with something like Mario Kart. If you're going to get a Switch, you're going to get Mario Kart, but whether or not that is enough for you to justify $450, that's the other question. And so, you could look at the $500 bundle where it's like, oh, I'm basically paying $50 for
3D
it.
Mario would have been that. So I thought it was interesting to me that it felt like they were still holding a lot of the cards close to their chest. Because they do not want to say who is making the Donkey Kong game. That tells me, okay, it's not probably one of their big teams. So, and obviously, otherwise they would have said, it's the Mario Odyssey team, right? So
I think that's really
probably
telling.
Doing.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. Yeah, if they're being quiet about that, it's because there's something that they don't want you to know about yet. And it's probably because they are sitting on a new Mario Kart, and it's probably GTA 6 or something. They're like, we just don't want to be close to it, so we have breathing room for marketing.
And they probably know the system will sell out anyways. Like they don't need to, like that was the different situation as well. From the Wii U to the Wii or to the Switch, they lost a lot of people. So everyone who was jumping to the Switch did not play a Nintendo game in probably a long time. So they could get a lot of people in. Right now, they're still happy if you buy the Pokemon game on your Switch 1 or Metroid on your Switch 1. They have Metroid, Donkey Kong, Mario Kart, the Pokemon game, all these third-party game publishers that are rushing to be one of the first ones there. Silk Song will be on the console. Hades 2. They got a pretty good lineup. They will probably sell out. So then I think next year you want to bring out the Splatoons, the Mario, or the Smash Brothers Ultimate, and all that.
This time it's super ultimate. Yeah,
exactly.
It's gonna be really fascinating to watch, and like we both said, I don't think you'll get a clear idea of the performance until like a year or two have passed, because it's all of those cascading factors, with the price points being raised, with the fact the market has changed. I know some people are thinking that, the effect of Windows or PC handhelds is not really going to have that big of an effect on the Switch. And that's very possible. It could be that the fact there is a Steam Deck, ROG Ally, these other handhelds, Xbox is working on one, for example, that they've teased a couple times. They probably reveal relatively soon. Like it could be that those just don't cross into the market where the Switch was, that the Switch is just its own thing. And I think that's possible. For me, I can speak for myself. For a long time, I bought third-party games. Like I remember buying Black Flag and Rogue. It was like a bundle together.
Oh yeah.
I remember buying that on the Switch because the idea of playing Black Flag in a handheld format while like laying in bed or something was so cool. I loved that idea. There wasn't another option at the time. Now, if I want to do that, I'll just pull out my ROG Ally. Like, I'll just play it that way. Mm-hmm. I don't need to buy the Switch version for $60, I think is what it was. So, for me at least, the industry has changed. And I think that there's other people like me who will not be behaving the same way on the eShop, that they were in 2017, 18, when there weren't, competitors out there.
Yeah. And then you hear like something like Cyberpunk is 40 FPS. I think, like, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think on the ROG LAX you can probably get it at 60, like tweak some stuff, right? You have way more options.
Probably. It's so hard to tell with that stuff too, because like the Switch 2 has its own, it uses NVIDIA architecture instead of like an AMD APU. So it's using DLSS instead of FSR, which will typically perform better. But it's also, there's just so many other questions when you are trying to compare performance where it's like, okay, well, what's the resolution, what's it upscaling from, what's the graphic setting, texture settings. Like there's so many additional questions, and I'm sure that you can probably get if you're comparing $500-$600 handheld, like if you're comparing the base Steam Deck to the base Switch 2, the base Switch 2 games, direct ports probably run better than the Steam Deck because it's a specific piece of hardware they've optimized for. But you're also paying significantly more. And that's the other piece of this too. You're paying for, I think they said the Cyberpunk, didn't they say it's like 70? It's like full price. And they said
That's
the whole
crazy.
game is on the 64 gig cartridge, so their margin actually is not very high. They said they're making less than people think they would because that cartridge is so expensive to manufacture, apparently. But that's just how it is, I guess.
Yeah, you want to get on that Nintendo console. We got some super chats. Let's go over them. One is
Yeah.
for your
Let's see.
do it.
We've got Jack. Thank you for the 5, first of all. For such a greedy, vindictive, and litigious company, Nintendo has no idea how to manage a PR crisis. Yeah, well, I've always found it fascinating that corporations will choose, in a moment of quiet desperation, they will choose to send out the most relatable people that all gamers and, individual consumers love, the executives. They'll send out the executives to argue why this isn't out of touch. And that's never made sense to me. Like, okay, we price things aggressively. People are unhappy about it. Let's send the multimillionaire guy out to explain why it's actually fair. It just doesn't make sense to me. It's the stupidest thing. So they've had these executives come out and, they're basically saying, well, don't buy it if you don't like that. And we think it's worth that price, but, I guess don't buy it, Brookie.
Do you also think that Nintendo kind of skipped these whole few years where the discourse has kind of been crazier? Feels like they are like arriving late to the party in a way, right? Where people are just way more focused on, companies making a mistake. Of course, we had the whole Shadows thing recently. It felt like last year every game had something that people were angry about, and yeah, it feels like Nintendo just kind of put the hands on their eyes, like it was like, no, and here we are, and what the heck is this? The house is burning down. What the heck? I do feel it's kind of, I kind of get that vibe from them, and they always got away from it, but times have kind of changed.
Well, yeah, I think for a long time, and up until very, very recently, Nintendo's been in their own bubble. Like, Nintendo kind of does whatever they do, and the PlayStation, Xbox gamers are too busy fighting with each other that they don't ever really engage with Nintendo. PC gaming, it's doing its own thing. So they've been able to do their own stuff for a long time. Like, even the prospect of like Amiibo as a product, like if PlayStation or Xbox announced a similar product line, I think it would be a nightmare. I think it
with like unlocks, like cheat codes for your games. Yeah,
where it's like, oh, you bought this statue, okay, now you get extra stuff in the game. Like, I think people would lose their minds. But with Nintendo, it's Nintendo. And I think it's really fascinating that whatever the exact cause is, and we can touch on that, something's changed where discourse for the Switch 2 is now spreading across the aisle, and I don't think Nintendo knows how to handle it because
that's it feels like they're, what the heck, everything was sunshine and rainbows, and now suddenly, because it was always crazy. Also, we were kind of on our island looking over, and we heard this crazy like game that you did not really hear about, like a Mario Party or whatever, sold 10 million units. Like, how? What?
Yeah, what?
Like, how is that even possible?
Yeah.
And that's what I think is also crazy about the prices that they're asking now, because I really think, and obviously we don't know for sure, but for example, for a game like Assassin's Creed, we heard like the credits are 2 hours long. We know if you go to the Steam page, there are like 13 Ubisoft studios across the world working on that. I don't think that's the case for a Mario Party. Some of these Mario games, they license out as well. I think like with 1 million, like they get all the money as well on the eShop. They're making profit left. It's crazy.
Yeah, so their games never go on sale. They jack up the prices ever. Yeah.
It's kind of crazy. And that they are then testing their luck with like increasing the prices. Like, I am of two minds with the whole the price increases, because I do think that it is kind of crazy. Like, I'm still not saying that overall I want the games to be as affordable as possible, but it is kind of crazy looking around you. I will, for example, want to go to a concert at the end of the April to 21 Pilots. People of course know it. I remember going to that concert in 2019. It was €50 and now it's 100. Like it doubled in price. That's insane. So it does make sense that game prices have to go up in a way too. But I think Nintendo going that route, while I think that even at 60, even at $30, they probably would still easily make a profit. While for a lot of these other big games, like we know Spider-Man 2, 300 million, they needed to sell 7.5 at the €80, $70 price tag to even break even. So I do get the conversation where it's like these budgets ballooned. Spider-Man 1 was 80 million, Spider-Man 2 300, but we're basically asking the same price. Something is not working out. But I don't get the feeling that that's the case for Nintendo. They are making a big profit anyways, and it seems like they just want to keep that up or increase it even more.
It's why I think it's fair to bring up or previously I've expressed frustration on streams and gotten some flack for it because I'm like, I think people overuse the term greed. I think people throw out the term greed when it doesn't always apply, and so when there's an example of actual greed, it kind of diminishes the impact of it. Like for some games, like if I've said before, if GTA 6 being a $2 billion project, if they needed to charge 80 or 90 bucks, separating it out from the impacts it would have on the industry, if they could just do that somehow and nobody else raises prices, like I would get it. It's a $2 billion game, the most expensive entertainment product ever. Movies, books, TV, games, most expensive thing ever. So I get it. Like that would be covering the bills. And I think that would not necessarily be an example of greed. Where I think you see with Nintendo, where it does become greed, is when you see how they are jacking up the price, not just of the console, but of each individual copy, digital copies as well. The physical copy is raising in price as well. And they've said some of those $90 games may include the game key version of physical games.
You're paying $10 more for a plastic box sometimes.
Yeah, that literally just has like a code in it. They've said things like the C button on the right Joy-Con, that you will not be able to use that button on the controller you bought unless you have the online subscription. And if you don't, when you press that button, it pulls up a little page telling you about the subscription and how to sign up for it.
Till March 31st, 2026.
yeah, to be fair.
Okay, Dusk Blood is not going to come out before that. It's probably going to come out on April 1st. Like the moment they flip the switch, it's like, Dusk Blood is out right now.
And it's going to cost more. They're going to raise the price on it once everybody signs up. Yeah, and I think it's the sentiment also at the end of the day, like, the customer is always right. And I think the perception of the customer is what you have to deal with. The perception of the customer is that Nintendo's being greedy and overstepping their bounds. And I think that is, I think that's what they've got to deal with. I mean, I posted this to X. You'll be able to see this on StreamJour, but it's, I was sitting actually in the hotel eating breakfast before one of our marathon playtests, and I just pulled up this Treehouse Live event that Nintendo was doing, and the chat is just flooded with drop the price, drop the price, drop the price, dislike, drop the price. Like, people are not happy. And Nintendo, I don't think has ever had to deal with this level of blowback in their lives. And whether, like, maybe the operative question, and it's probably the only question Nintendo really cares about, is how many of these people that are chanting this type of thing, how many of those people were ever a candidate to buy the Switch?
Yeah.
When I did the survey and the poll on my stream, we saw a straight up 50% drop. We did a poll right before the event, before it was announced, kind of assuming a $399 price. And then at $450, and with all the game price hikes and everything else, half of the people that had said they would buy it dropped off. So at least, my anecdotal individual sample size of like however many people, but 500-600 people, that shows that there was a drop off. And I would be interested in seeing, especially once the pre-order data comes in, I'm wondering whether Nintendo sees if this is just like an online problem, if it's just people talking loud but they were never going to buy it anyways, or if it actually is going to have an impact, because I don't think Nintendo cares either way unless it affects the bottom line.
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, we've already seen in the UK, in the Netherlands as well, it sells out really, really fast. So there is obviously this core audience that they are with millions. Like, we have Fernando here with the very generous super chat. Kirby's Lost Game sold 8 million. Astrobot sold 1 million. It's 1.5, but still, that it does show you, like, who are these? I know no one who plays Kirby, but there are 8 million people out there, and God bless them. Like, that's awesome. But they have this really core audience, but they are testing their luck with those people. And especially, I mean, now, because that's the final update on the tariffs we have, right? That there's like a 90-minute or 90-day pause right now. So yeah, they will likely open up the pre-orders. And I mean, I would, if I was in the US and ever interested in buying a Switch 2, get it, because the chances of it actually going up in price is pretty high. But yeah, there is this huge audience, and Pokemon is so huge. These games, like, if Ubisoft put out Pokemon, the most recent one, everyone would burn it to the ground. And obviously, people still did, but it still sold 20 million units.
Yeah.
Like, what the heck?
I think,
where are these people?
Well, exactly. I think that there's it's interesting because I feel like the gaming community on like PlayStation, Xbox, PC, they're very online. It's very transparent. There's a lot of peer pressure. There's a lot of discourse around it. And the community is very like cross integrated. Like PlayStation gamers know what's happening on Xbox and vice versa and on PC. But like if you're in that trio, it feels like Nintendo really is on its own island and they're doing their own thing, and they release, you know, I'm still, however many years, 8 years later or whatever, I'm still pissed that I bought ARMS. That stupid freaking game. I bought it because I was like, oh, there's nothing else. There's nothing else to buy. I guess I'll try this. It seems like it could be fun. Played it for like 35 minutes. There's no way to refund it. And it was full 60, and it was laughable. And I feel like if that was offered on any other platform, you know, if Sony dropped a game that has basically 20 minutes of gameplay, and they charge full price for it, they would get destroyed in the discourse. But Nintendo creators just don't do that. And I think Nintendo, for as scummy as I think they are personally, they have managed to cater like an online culture and a culture in the media. Maybe it's access journalism. Maybe it's just that the people who play those games honestly don't care. But you don't see that kind of blowback. Even now, like a lot of Nintendo focused channels and stuff, they're not daring to question the pricing. They're not putting out articles bashing any of these choices. And I think it's because if they're cut off, of course, they only cover Nintendo, they're screwed. And Nintendo will just cut you off if you're not playing ball. So I think that that's part of it. It's also just, you know, years and years and years of them being isolated. And maybe it's the introduction of the From Software exclusive game that's brought in some of the PC community and console, you know, more traditional console gaming community that normally would not be paying any attention to Nintendo. Now they're looking at it and they're like, what the hell is this shit? maybe that's what it is. And most of this,
the complete opposite thing that Nintendo wanted. They wanted those to bring those people in, but they're actually creating like a, what the heck? Now more people are looking at the sort of smoke coming out of their business practices. Yeah.
I think they thought maybe it was going to excite people, but I think instead they just invited them in to burn the house down.
It's fascinating. I do think the console itself, I think the 120 hertz screen, that's pretty awesome. Of course, having it being a bigger Switch, I think the system itself looks pretty exciting. So I mean, yeah.
I was just gonna say, I think if they had just announced it at 450 and everything else was the same, Ceteris paribus, all else equal, I think people would have been like, it's a little more than I wanted to spend, but
but this is the time to raise the prices. But they went the extra mile. If they just went for $10, because that's the crazy part is that Zelda Tears of the Kingdom was the first game they brought forward for $70. So that was like the only game on the Switch 1 that was $70. So yeah, normally it was 60, 70, and now they go as high as 90, and it starts at 80, even for Switch Definitive Editions or whatever they're called. That's crazy to me.
Yeah. They're pushing it. Nate, thank you for the $5 Australian super chat as well. As someone in Australia, we are used to $100 or $110 games. So it's funny when US get taxed, they cry. But can you explain tariffs or whatever for dummies? You have
a degree in corporate finance, so You should do this.
Who? No. I will say they just announced a pause to it for 90 days for all countries except for China. It's starting to look more and more like this whole thing of putting tariffs on everybody was just a way to get China to ratchet up tariffs, and then they dropped it for everybody else. And now China's just left as the only one standing with their economy kind of crippled, which is a little. It's just it's very surprising. It was unforeseen. Yeah. But all it basically is it's just like a tax at the port of entry, if you want to think of it like that. Like the product comes in, and you got to pay the guy that's running the dock to get in, and then he lets you in to sell your product. But it's dependent on where it's coming from. So Nintendo, for a long time, for months and months and months, they were assembling Switches in Cambodia and Vietnam. And they were doing that because they were anticipating tariffs levied against China. And they thought, okay, we'll assemble in Vietnam and Cambodia, and we'll ship out to the US and to Europe and everywhere else from there. And so that's why when on April 2nd, the administration announced tariffs on Vietnam and Cambodia, they had to pause pre-orders for the US. They eventually paused them for Canada too. And they were just like, we don't know what to do. Like, this is going to destroy our profit margins. We're just screwed. And so now that those tariffs have been lifted off of Vietnam and Cambodia and those countries, I think you'll see pre-orders open up and everything will kind of proceed. Chinese products and, like iPhones and stuff, if depending on how that works, they could be in trouble. There was just a report I saw yesterday that Apple has started doing some shipments of iPhones where they're loading them up on 737 planes and they're flying them to different countries to bypass the tariffs. Like, it's cheaper for them to give these phones first class tickets basically than it is to ship them typically, which is just funny. But that's
we've not seen the last of it. And the crazy part also about this whole Switch 2 situation is that this is for people the moment they realized, whoa, politics do influence my life, like my hobby now. So now I'm angry.
Yeah, now I'm upset.
All the other stuff that had happened before, I don't care.
Wait, but this affects me.
My Mario Kart. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, it is. It will have cascading effects. Anybody who's like, well, they postponed these, so now everything's good now. No, it's still on China. Like, there's still many question marks all around this. But it's as of right now for the Switch 2 specifically, it seems like crisis averted.
What will happen with Tencent, because they're investing in Ubisoft? Do they have to pay tariffs? No, I'm kidding. I just wanted to
bring it up.
A good segue.
Yeah, that is a good segue. I honestly, if somebody is in chat and knows the answer, please let me know. I am honestly unsure of the impact of tariffs when it comes to digital distribution. I'm honestly not sure.
Fine.
Because if Black Myth Wukong, for example, developed in China, if that is distributed from China, obviously you would think that would be subject to tariffs, but I don't think it is. And even if it were, I think because it's software, you just open up a shell company in a country where there are no tariffs or lower tariffs, and then you distribute it from that shell company in that other country. Because it's just like it's an upload to send the software to then distribute through the shell company. So I don't think that there is currently anything like that would affect them, but maybe that's going to change. Exactly how do you tariff a digital good? Well, exactly. That's what I'm saying is, if you try to tariff a digital good, you just send the digital good through an intermediary and then you're good. So I don't know how that works, because you don't really import digital goods, but they are distributed. And so, people are saying no effect. Yeah. So it just helps them push digital now. Yay, digital sales.
That was Trump's plan all along. He's in bed with Nintendo, that they want everyone to go.
I've had it with these discs. Yeah. They keep getting scratched. It's terrible. It's terrible. Gotta go digital. Only digital.
Oh yeah. No, it's gonna be fascinating, but not good also for if GTA 6 comes out and yeah, whatever happens after those 90 days. If the consoles get super expensive, a lot of people will be like, okay, yeah, I'm not gonna afford buying GTA 6 because that would of course be a moment where a lot of people who are still stuck on PS4, Xbox One finally move over. But
yeah, I think there's going to be what you're going to see is more stockpiling. I think that's the big thing. The one surefire thing I've seen from every industry analyst that I've been reading articles from in the last like 2 weeks, they've all said the way to bypass all of the uncertainty with all the tariff stuff is to just stockpile your product in the country that is creating the question marks. In this case, it's the US. Ship a crap ton of PS5 Pros. Right now, when the sun is shining, when the tariffs are either low or non-existent, ship them out of China to Vietnam, and then from Vietnam to the US, or however you do it, which, you know, they have teams of people that are just doing that, just distributing stuff through the supply chains. And that's what they're doing. I mean, even Apple, I was just reading an article how Apple is creating an entire factory and distribution center based in India and moving all their operations from one of their Chinese factories over there because it's a more comfortable tariff environment for them. So it's changing things, certainly. But I don't think it's necessarily, you know, it's not like this is going to catch any executives off guard. I think they're all creating contingency plans and coming up with stuff.
yeah,
But
I heard Herman is gonna get like a flyer license so he can like fly the plane. Make sure, like, save some money.
yeah.
While playing fair games, of course. He's still
He's going to stop off at Gorilla, check on the multiplayer game. It's going to be good, right, guys? Right? People are going to love this. Well, I have an idea, guys. What if we gave Aloy a lightsaber? We just really make it our own Star Wars.
I mean, to be fair, the third game could have that. Would be cool because I'm kind of tired of the spear as a melee weapon, to be fair. But
yeah.
Hey, yeah. Hey, let's move on to some other topics. Real quick. Let's catch up on super chats first. I already had the one from Fernando, of course, but maybe we had.
No, we're all caught up. We
Okay,
inserted
nice,
them covertly. Yes.
Very good, very good. Aloy with a bazooka, I would buy that. G Mendes, I would. So yeah, we have
no one.
we've not really. Maybe add that to the AI song.
Yep, we're gonna add that in. Another verse right there.
Yeah, we have not really touched on the Ubisoft subsidiary that, even though it feels like a long time ago that they announced that, but I don't think we really covered that here on the show. Of course, yeah, what we have been speculating before already has kind of come to fruition, where they are basically inside Ubisoft. Ubisoft is still, basically taking care of this sister company, of this subsidiary, but they're moving their three biggest franchises, Rainbow Six, Assassin's Creed, and Far Cry, to that. Tencent invested 1.16 billion euro, and they get a 25% minority stake. So that values this whole subsidiary at around the 4 billion euros, which is quite a lot. But the question then remains, and we now have Tom Henderson, of course, doing great reporting on Insider Gaming. A question mark, what happens to the rest? And the answer is Ubisoft doesn't really know that either yet. That's at least what we can, what we can extract from this internal memo that Tom Henderson posted. Maybe you already heard about this, but I do think it's kind of interesting to discuss that, Luke. So basically, they refer to this, the old Ubisoft as Zone 1. And the new subsidiary is going to be Zone 2, I guess, or whatever. Basically, what they want to do with the extra money from Tencent is they already have huge plans for Far Cry, Rainbow Six, and Assassin's Creed, but it seems like they want to accelerate that, up the quality, have more content for Rainbow Six. Maybe if they need to delay another Assassin's Creed game, they now saw, hey, that worked out for Shadows. We now got the extra funding. Let's do that. Obviously, they have mobile games for at least Rainbow Six and Assassin's Creed in the works. So they want to really make sure that these franchises are set up for success even better than the original plan that they were already working on. But what happens to the rest? So we now know that Quebec, so that's the studio that just did Shadows, Sherbrooke, and Sugene. Do you know how to pronounce that?
I mean, I'm gonna do it worse than you will.
So okay, let's just go with
It's not my strong suit.
Sugene. They will move entirely to the new entity. For one, that means Quebec, of course, the studio that just did Shadows, Odyssey. They're probably only going to work on Assassin's Creed moving forward. So that's kind of there because they also did Immortals before this. But yeah, you got this whole team there. There are like hundreds of people at that studio that will just be focused on Shadows post-launch and probably the next RPG. In Montreal, they of course have many teams. That's the other big Ubisoft studio. They will be spread between the new entity and Zone 1. So the Rainbow Six team, of course, will move to the new entity, and the Far Cry team as well, because they are developing Far Cry 7 in there. But also, they have a 400 team at Montreal. Seems like they're doing a new IP, an Animal Crossing style game or something. That seems to be in the work there too. So it will be kind of weird. I'm curious if inside Ubisoft Montreal there will be sort of this divide, or like the cool kids table and the Zone 1 table, if that makes sense.
Dude, it's gotta be so freaking awkward.
Yeah.
Because it's like one group is almost certainly safe from major shakeups. The other group, not so much. Because I've said before, like they announced this thing with Tencent, that Ubisoft was not really in danger of like filing any particular type of bankruptcy at that point, because they had Daddy Warbucks in the form of Tencent to come in and save the day. Tencent did that by creating a separate entity. And what private equity guys do all the time is they create an entity, or they buy an entity. They put all the good stuff in there and they're like, oh yeah, this is good, stuff it full. And then there's sort of a hollow shell of what it was, all the good stuff removed from it. And it's like when you go to a Mexican restaurant and like they give you the carne asada and all the good stuff, and then there's just a bunch of like stray shredded lettuce and stuff, and you're like, I don't want that. So it's just, this other entity is just the shredded lettuce on the plate. And they can get rid of that, usually by bankruptcies or other different things that you can do to get rid of bad debt and stuff like that. And I think that there's a real risk of that type of thing happening now, because they've separated out the good stuff that they're really confident in. And I wouldn't be surprised if they start to explore like mass layoffs or studio closures and stuff in those shredded lettuce areas.
Yeah, I don't know what's worse, because they're saying our studios in Toronto, Winnipeg, as well as Red Storm and Blue Mammoth will continue evolving in the current organization. Yeah, that doesn't sound great to me. So this is also from that internal memo, of course. Toronto is doing the Splinter Cell remake. So in the initial press release where they announced the subsidiary, they did talk about wanting to continue Ghost Recon and The Division next to Assassin's Creed, Far Cry, and Rainbow Six. So it does seem that we know the new Ghost Recon is probably like close to being finished. It should be out, was probably planned for this year, but seems like they moved it to next year. Division 3, of course, just started. But yeah, like our studio, like continue to evolve. I'm not sure if those will exist anymore. But what about if your company was not even mentioned, like Massive Entertainment in Sweden?
I think there's
not even in this internal memo. You must be like, what the heck?
Yeah, I think my guess for Massive is if there is a studio that is easily packaged up and sold, it's probably Massive. Mm-hmm. It sort of has its own identity. It has its own tech, sort of. I think that would be doable, especially because what they'd probably do is they're working on Division 3. They probably sell Massive to another company or studio or publisher, and then they license out the Division IP. Maybe they sell it, but I'd be surprised if Ubisoft did that. But they license out the IP, license out the engine, and then after the Division 3 comes out, if they want to pivot and do something else, make an Unreal Engine, something or other, they could do that. But yeah, I think the fact that Massive is not mentioned, I think says a lot. The silence
Mm-hmm.
speaks volumes for sure.
Yeah, and they had two like big flops in terms of Avatar and Star Wars. So at one point, I mean, we've seen studios close down after one try. So it would not be out of the realm of possibilities. But also Ubisoft Bordeaux that did Mirage, not mentioned. Even in the press release, it's like, yeah, these studios will continue making Assassin's Creed. They are doing the first Shadows DLC, and they're not mentioned as a studio that is continuing to work on Assassin's Creed, even though Mirage did relatively well for what it was. That's also so weird to me. So it could totally be that there are so many studios that they're forgetting the names or something.
That would be really funny if they're like, oh, right, we own them.
Yeah, exactly. I have not been to Bordeaux. Oh, yeah, we got those guys. Like, they even moved to a new studio at the end of last year. I mean, the studio that we went to for Mirage is not like they already moved to an even bigger studio.
I didn't get to go, so.
Oh, you weren't there.
No, awkward. I was not invited, Jor. Oh.
Really? Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's why I remember it so fondly. No?
It was really quiet. I remember it wasn't very loud.
Oh yeah, no, everyone was there except for you. That's true.
It smelled like good too.
Oh, we were gossiping about you. That's why I thought you were there.
Oh, you were the cardboard cutout they were playing pin the tail on the donkey with. Okay, yeah. Checks out.
No, but so they had a studio. They moved to a bigger one. So you know.
Yeah, well, there you go. I'm glad we got there. I'm glad we were. Yeah, but you're right. There are a number of things that they just don't mention. And you would think that if this were an internal memo being sent to the entire organization, people at Bordeaux are reading this and are like, where are we?
They're like, Control F, Bordeaux. And they're like, we're
not there at all. Exactly. It's very weird. Maybe they received their own memo. Maybe that's the thing. They received a super secret love memo that's like, hey, we love you. You're going nowhere. You're fine.
Yeah.
Probably not, but yeah, that would be. I'd be sweating bullets.
Would be fun though if they like shared. Sometimes I get sent like a Google Doc, and then I can still see the edits they made, and it's like they put Bordeaux in and then they removed it. Then I would be sweating.
Yeah, Bordeaux is safe. Sweating. Deleted 10 minutes ago.
Yeah.
That would be tragically funny. Yes.
Yeah, no, but we've not. So basically, the other parts from the internal memo are that right now they're kind of like figuring things out, and then after step 2 will be from now until the summer, where we'll work out how to support the studios in the new entity with the existing organization and determine what the new model looks like on both sides. And then step 3 will be basically to implement it. And they want this to be happening before the end of the year, like want it to be finished before the end of the year. So it's not the last that we've heard. Like, it feels like so weird. Like, are they going to be at Ubisoft Forward? Like, is there going to be a Ubisoft Forward? Probably not. It would be so. I don't think they will do it right.
I mean, I don't think there will be anything on the scale of what they did last year, because of course they had like Star Wars Outlaws and AC Shadows. Like, they had 2 big projects that they needed to showcase, and they put a lot of effort in there. Right now, like, what do they have for the fall? Allegedly, Black Flag remake. They have when does Rainbow Six X come out? I think it's before June.
It's like around. It's like after, I think, just after the Summer Game Fest.
Okay. But yeah, like they had a lot to do last year. This year, like, they could announce a new Just Dance and the remake of Black Flag, which maybe is like enough to showcase. Maybe they have a lot there, but like, I don't know if that's enough for a whole presentation. So I wouldn't be surprised if they skip this year and they just do like a press preview event for the Black Flag remake.
They do have Skull and Bones year 2. So,
enough said.
I mean, if they want to get the band back together, then
dude, I still, this is a slight non sequitur to that. No, it's similar. But I still remember, and I cherish the memory of when I did like a preview event remote thing. I was playing at my desk
Oh yeah,
here
no, this is
for
amazing.
Skull and
Yeah.
Bones, and like it was 5 hours with the game, and
That's so
after
long.
90 minutes, it's me, it's another like streamer guy, and then it's like 3 members of Ubisoft's marketing team, because I think a few people bailed and like didn't show, so they filled it in with like marketing people and PR people from Ubisoft. And after like 90 minutes of playing it, I still remember one of the like Ubisoft employees. So do you guys just want to like do that mission again? Like they were done, they were bored with what they had to play, and it was so indicative of how everybody kind of felt, because everybody was like, do we have to keep playing, or can we can we go do something else? You guys want to load into Rainbow together? I don't know, that would be really funny.
That's crazy. I never had that before, but you kind of have to feel the like 5 hours with a game like that. That's
Yeah, it was so for a typical multiplayer live service game, I'd appreciate having all that time to test and experiment, but it literally was like, yeah, you sail a ship. So they had like a race quest mission thing, and then they had like a survive the waves of enemies. And then like an escort sort of mission, and that was it. Like they had 3 missions that you're supposed to spend 5 hours playing, but that was the entire game. I mean, that was literally all there was. So it's just
yeah,
it's the whole thing. Anyway,
but
with the Ubisoft stuff, they're going through significant changes. As you can see, this is the whole memo, and the last chunk of it is basically like, I'm sure you have many questions for which we have no answers yet. And we thank you for your patience and resilience. Living through change is never simple. This is a big and important one for us and the future of the company.
thanks to ChatGPT.
Yeah, thanks ChatGPT. Yeah. I think it's just things had to change, and that's why I said I didn't think Shadows was going to prevent this from happening, because like the company was sick, and you eventually need like medicine for the sickness. You just do. And this is going to be a potent, bitter medicine, I think, at times, but it's what you need if you're going to fix the company. Like you need somebody like Tencent to come in, and I'm sure they're working with the Ubisoft executives on how to clean it up and what should stay, what should go. And it's why I think, later this year you'll still hear, even if Shadows, ends up doing 10 million copies and making a hefty profit, I still think you'll see these restructurings, but
that will only be in that subsidiary. That's the thing. Like that will be in this. They're basically removing the 3 most profitable things, and the rest will be left with a way higher headcount. With games like maybe For Honor does make a product or a profit with the 50 people that are working on it or something, but yeah, something has to give. I think for Beyond Good and Evil 2 over, for example. There's no way. They should have never tried that for this long.
A lot of these projects that should have probably been canned a long time ago, like all the NFT projects that they still are allegedly working on. Ubisoft Quartz is still a thing in their company. There's still people being paid for that. I think you're going to get a lot of, efficiency increased, and you're going to clean house in some ways. But it needed to happen, and just because Rainbow Six Siege made a ton of money and was super successful does not mean that I forget the name of it, but X NFT game makes sense, or Beyond Good and Evil 2 makes sense to greenlight, or that the Just Dance 2025 game makes sense to put out. Like you can't just say because they won success everything is good.
The turn-based tactics Rainbow Six game, that's gonna do really well, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I don't know why. They must have looked at Midnight Suns and were like, oh, we want to flop like that. Let's do it.
They said the total time of the game was said to be aiming for approximately 25 to 30 hours, depending on player skill. Like I like turn-based stuff. I like tactical games. They say it's similar to Diablo 4 or XCOM. XCOM is cool. I'm interested in that. But with all these, it's about budget. Like if it's made by 15, 20 people and it's tight in scope, but it just uses that IP, that can work. You can make money on that because you don't need to sell that many copies to turn a profit. Ubisoft's problem is that they're like, well, this is really niche and we're not sure if a lot of people will buy it. So let's put 3,000 people on it and balloon the budget to $300 million. And then we're going to act bedeviled when it doesn't turn a profit, even though it sold like fine. It's the same thing with like,
since
I was just about to say, yeah. It's Prince of Persia. It's like some concepts are just more niche, and that's okay. That's fine. Niche games can be very, very good, but it's when you take a niche game and then you try to turn it into a AAA game later in development that you just end up screwing yourself over.
Yep. We will follow it here, of course, so make sure you leave a like, do all that good stuff. We're even gonna look at the Spotify thing.
Oh yes. It's
it's 393, almost at 400.
Ooh.
Can we get to the price of the Switch 2 before the Switch 2 comes out? That would be great.
Yeah.
So we need 700 now. After tariffs, it will be $700.
One review for every dollar we do. Yeah, no, it's been a thank you everybody who's left the Spotify reviews. You guys are amazing, and if you're listening and watching, take a minute and do that. It helps us out. That's wonderful. Yeah, we're at a crazy interesting time in the industry. There's still some surprises that are incoming, allegedly, such as the Rainbow Six tactical game, but also like there's rumors of a like an Oblivion remake getting shadow dropped at some point in April.
Because there are not enough games now, you know.
Well,
Summer of Death is not even upon us yet. But then you see the Outer Worlds 2, and you're like, that's not gonna come out in October.
Yeah, well,
where are they gonna put that?
That's the thing, is it seems like Xbox is front loading the year, the first 5-6 months with everything they have, right? Like whether it's you know, some like Doom or allegedly the Oblivion remake or South of Midnight, all of those. And I think in the fall originally Fable was gonna come out. They probably were looking at like November for Fable, and then it got delayed, of course, into next year. And so that leaves like Outer Worlds, which probably like that's got to be September or something, because I don't think they go to October, November with that. Maybe they put it December, because I don't think that that's necessarily a like game of the year contender. But I find it interesting that they have so much, and the times at which they're dropping them seem interesting. Like shadow dropping the Oblivion remake seems crazy to me. It's also very interesting that they're doing an they're doing an Outer Worlds 2 direct as part of their summer showcase, but not a Gears E-Day like direct. It feels like if that game were still coming this year, it would have been there. It's not going to
come this year, because there are rumors about the Gears of War collection, right? Also coming to PlayStation in the summer of that. Summer of
It's got to have been delayed.
End of August. Yeah.
But we also, and Jor, you know I had to bring it up.
No.
We should.
No.
By the end of the year.
Fair game $sign.
No, be getting a new expansion for Starfield. So allegedly the second expansion.
Wow.
Yeah.
It was not
what you thought.
And PS5 version also in September. Dude, it's enough. It's crazy.
There's just
Mafia.
so much.
Remember Mafia? That's also still coming out.
I'm never forgetting Mafia. I'm so excited for Mafia. I love Mafia.
I got some heat for saying that I think that game is going to be 6 hours long.
Really? You think it's going to be that short?
I think it's going to be very short. I think they made it in a very short time, and they just want to get something out. This is the team. The last game they did was Mafia 3.
The definitive edition, technically. They did remake that. And it is like a total ground up remake. I mean, there's like, if you look at the side-by-side comparisons from the original to that one, there was no recycling. But I do think it's going to be shorter than maybe people are expecting after Mafia 3, where they might be braced for like 30, 40 hours of grind. Yeah, and they've said they're removing the open world. It's going to be linear, much more narrative. So it's going to live or die based on the narrative and the presentation, because I don't think it's going to be a game heavy in like gameplay dynamics or inventory management and stuff. I think it's going to play like a more linear game. And I think that sounds great because historically the stories and stuff have been the strength of those games. The open world has always been the weak point. So I'm optimistic for it. And after Definitive Edition, I'm there. You know, that game reinstilled a lot of confidence in me. After Mafia 3, I was like, I don't know, guys, this might not be long for this world. But Definitive Edition, I still insist is, so good.
But it's good if it's like 6 hours. Then you got time for the 10,000 other games that are coming out. Just saying.
Yeah, that's a fair point. I gotta load up in Horizon Online or whatever. I don't know. Do you still think, now that I remember last time we talked about it, that like we were saying, well, Marathon's got to come out at some point this year, and I mean they're doing the gameplay showcase on Saturday, so we might hear when that's coming. But I would imagine if they're marketing it now, we probably see it soonish. But do you think we see the Horizon game at all this year, or do you think that they just push it?
They can do it in two ways, but I do hope that the recent situations where the short marketing cycle has not really worked. Like, I do think going with a Ghost of Yotei trailer, like, I think for one, they're gonna do, we just had the Xbox show, they're gonna do an end of May event, a state of play or showcase. Ghost of Yotei will be there. It will probably get a release date for before October somewhere, I think. Maybe early October, or October. And that will be like a short enough window for it. But I do think for these games where you have to explain more and need to react to feedback, I hope they reveal it, get all the feedback, and then start pushing it like early next year if it's coming out, maybe in March or something, which I think would be a way better. This year is filling up. If there's no room for
that's kind of where I'm at. I honestly don't know where they would toss it, because I don't know where they would put it. And I do think it is fascinating because like Marathon, we looked at it on stream. Dr. Lupo went on stream and he was talking about how he's been consulting on that game ever since there were only 4 people on the project. He's been consulting on that game for 6 years.
That's crazy. And
it's not just him. I mean, my understanding is that there's a lot of creators and stuff that have consulted on it, offered feedback from all over, different niches in the games space, in the live service like space. And as far as I'm aware, I mean, we probably wouldn't have heard about it, but I feel like I would have heard rumblings if people were consulting on it and if people were also helping with Horizon. And it might just be a fundamentally different approach. Bungie is getting
Or I'm
people
just really
involved.
Good at keeping a secret.
That couldn't possibly be it. I don't think, no. But like, I just think these live service games really benefit from being in tune with your community, and the ARG stuff that they've been doing with Marathon has been a very successful venture, I think. So it's going to be very interesting to see the different approaches, because I don't know how much more expensive Marathon was to the Horizon game, or maybe the Horizon game is more expensive than Marathon will end up being.
Yeah, I think it's close.
Yeah.
But how many people are working on Marathon? Do we like know? Like at one point, I think we heard that the Destiny 2 team was like kind of similar size.
I think the guesstimation was between 250 and 300.
Yeah, that's a lot. But I do think at the peak that is what's working on Horizon Online, because Guerrilla has 300, 400 people as well. So yeah. It seems like Sony's slate is kind of full, because we heard rumblings about a Marathon in 2025. We of course still don't know if that will happen, but with them like talking about it now, you would think so. But they were always like, we're not sure if we're gonna make it, but if they have Marathon, Ghost of Yotei, Death Stranding 2, and this God of War game, I think they're set. And then GTA, like they don't have to, they could just release nothing. And if GTA 6 comes out at the end of the year, they will still sell a lot of PS5s.
Yeah.
But
I think it makes sense to just,
same.
I would say wait till spring. Let that be your April, May. You can
wait
do a
till
Game
Monster Hunter
Awards.
announce their DLC and then go
launch right next to it. I do think, dude, it would be so freaking funny if they announced, yes, the Horizon game, we're going to do a play test in September, and we're going to release it in October 28th. exactly the same day as GTA 6. Like, I would not put it past them. They just, oh, they have a
learned.
talent.
I think.
I thought they
Maybe
learned the
that's why
first
they're going
time, but
for
then they did it the
January.
second
They're like,
time.
nobody's gonna be in January.
Like, how do we stay away
To be
from
fair,
everyone
though,
else? Let's just not release it at all.
They had the February date, and then Elden Ring got delayed. Elden Ring was supposed to launch in January and got delayed.
Yeah, you would have thought that they would like delay Horizon again, because like everybody knew, but it's like they didn't want to admit that they were delaying. They would be delaying to stay away from Elden Ring. And I know there's other costs. There's like marketing and stuff you've got locked in. It's not as simple as just moving it, but still, it's really funny that 2 times in a row that franchise has put themselves next to a behemoth.
I do think it benefited like Shadows a lot coming out in like March. I think that it's like looking back probably at this year, that is probably still the quietest time we had so far, and will get probably this year, apart from maybe July. But yeah, there are other reasons why you don't want to release in July. So
yeah, no, it's I remember talking back in January, I think it was like early January before they delayed out of Valentine's Day, and I was like, straight up, I don't know if I'll have time to play Shadows if I'm also trying to play Monster Hunter and KCD2. Like, and that's me. I do this for a living. So imagine somebody that's working like a real job and has the 9 to 5, only have like so many hours. It matters if there's other games that are affecting it, if when you release. So I think that taking their time with Horizon would be a good idea.
Yeah, for sure. They don't need it, but I do think they have to reveal it, because it's kind of crazy looking at that game director's LinkedIn, 7.5 years, and you have not even announced your game yet. I think they're gonna do it. I'm really feeling good about the showcase this year. If they have the God of War surprise, Ghost of Yote gameplay reveal, Death Stranding another 10-minute trailer, Marathon probably gets like something. They got a lot of great stuff. I don't think we will see Intergalactic or Wolverine, but
I agree.
That should all. Yeah.
I think they should show. I guess we should shift a little, and I should just say I think they should, between what I think they should and what they will do, but I think they should show it this summer or May or whenever it is, and they should announce like alpha play tests, closed play tests, start to get like player feedback. You can even filter it out where it's just Horizon fans based on number of hours played in Horizon on that PlayStation account. Whatever you need to do. Good. Yeah, you'll be set. Jor will be 15 of the 20 slots.
You know what they should do? They should like use the great concept. They should like have these like gold pieces of paper, put them in the Lego boxes.
Oh,
and then if you get the gold piece of paper, you can like get the alpha
That's
test.
magical. I like that.
Yeah,
that's fun. That's cute.
That's like a way to also make the Lego Horizon thrive,
Yeah. And make sure that the game also gets more than 50 players, and that could help.
Yeah, I'm waiting for the Switch $80 version, to be honest. Switch 2.
It's just a matter of time, let's be honest.
Yeah,
I think you can call it a golden ticket. Exactly.
Yeah.
No, I think they should reveal it. I think they should do like play tests, get player feedback, because I think one of the biggest lessons from games like Concord and all these others is you gotta get, especially like Suicide Squad 2, you gotta get player feedback early, and you have to like act on it. It doesn't matter with so many of these live service games where they're like, oh yeah, we got player feedback, we did a closed alpha 3 weeks before launch, and it's like, that's not you're not collecting feedback. Okay, you're just letting people play a demo. That's all you're really doing. And I hope that they don't make the mistake of waiting to reveal it until December and then releasing it in February or something, and just being like, yeah, it is what it is. You're going to like it, because that, if we do like it, that's great. If people are not thrilled about it, there's nothing you can do. Like, you're screwed. So that's,
I think we will see it, but they will, it will be like 2026, I think, at the end.
Yeah,
then,
probably.
Or maybe like beta or like pre-order to get beta access in the winter or something.
Yeah, I think that would make sense. Real quick to wrap us up, Jimothy, thank you for the 5. I have to get an endoscopy soon, and I'm watching this to take my mind off of it. Love you guys. And also, don't forget to rate the podcast 5 stars. Ooh. Thank you, Jimothy. Yeah. And good luck on your operation, my friend. And then Limit Breaks, thank you for the 2. Wanted to say thank you guys before Nintendo turns us brokies. Yeah, dude. I actually had somebody...
pre-ordered already.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Damn, Jor's not a brokey. Did you order while in the bathtub?
I'm gonna play it in the bathtub. I'm looking for like water resistance information. I've not found.
I like to shower while playing my games.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually
still work like with the mouse and stuff. It's gonna be amazing.
There you go.
I got like this table in the bathtub, obviously. Like
obviously, yeah. Sorry. I just my brain went down a rabbit hole. No, but
I'm gonna call with the C button. That's an excellent idea. I'm gonna get the Switch 2 camera in the bathtub. Call into this show.
Now we have to do that when you get your Switch. You have to get the stupid little camera.
I'm not gonna buy this camera. How expensive is that camera? It's probably really expensive.
That's the other thing. Nobody knows if you can use like a regular USB-C camera or like webcam.
Probably not.
Can you plug a USB-C dongle what's it called? You know, the splitter where you can put multiple things in. Yeah. Can you do that and then charge it while it's plugged into a camera? Like, how does that work? Nobody knows. So there's going to be testing, but yeah, I will honestly say
the C button.
The C button. I will say I don't know if or when I will end up actually buying one. At this point, as a point of principle, I'm good. I don't need Mario Kart that bad, and I just the sheer disconnect between Nintendo and gamers, I'm very frustrated by it. So I'm gonna sit on the sidelines, but we'll have you do like a whole showcase, and
I'm gonna play Paladins on my own. It's gonna be great. I think it's shut down. It's probably already shut down.
The servers are probably dead. Yeah, I don't think you can. You'll just be loading, trying to launch it. It's just servers disconnected. Launch.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Over and over. Anyway, thank you everybody for hanging out with us. AC Landmarks, good to see you, my friend.
Yeah, good to see you.
And you guys are all wonderful. Thank you for making our dreams a reality every day.
€90 for the camera. That's a lot for but I can like put it on the company bill. It's like a bathtub stream.
Dude, and you better believe that camera, if it were not a Nintendo camera, would be $10 on Amazon. Like that is not a high quality
it's
camera.
Not even, it's got to be really bad.
Yeah.
It's got to be like when everyone with COVID, everyone was like scrambling to get one of their webcams. It's like 360p, like something like that.
Yeah, it's straight up. I saw somebody break it down. They're like, Nintendo this generation basically did nothing but mirror features from the PlayStation 2 with like the PS2 Live, whatever they called it.
The iToy or whatever.
The iToy, yeah. Excuse me. Those were the days,
Bless
man.
you.
Yeah, the sneeze snuck up on me. Much love, everybody. You guys are fantastic. We'll see you again very, very soon. You guys are wonderful. Until next time, my friends. Peace out.
Goodbye.